How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're back again for another PrizePicks NBA board breakdown. Today is January 4th. It's just afternoon, heading toward 1 p.m. on the East Coast here, and so we're going to take a look at some of the best plays over on PrizePicks tonight. Hopefully last night was good to you. It was good to me, not so much in NBA, but more so on the NFL side of things. I ended up landing on a 5-pick flex play, all running backs too, by the way. So that paid out really well. That ended up making me profitable on the night, which is what we always want to do. We want to end the night up more money than we were the day before. So hopefully I got the NASA shirt on. You know what that means. All systems are go. All systems are go. Tonight's going to be a good night. I got a good feeling about that. And hopefully this video helps to get you prepared. So if this is your first time to the channel, welcome. Definitely hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, leave a like and a comment below. I love hearing from you guys. I want to know who your favorite play is on PrizePicks tonight. Who's that lock? Who's that one guy that you're going to put in all of your lineups and win a bunch of money with? Maybe it's somebody I mentioned in this video. Let's find out. First thing we do on this channel is take a look at the most recent news in the NBA, see if there's anything that is going to impact tonight's slate of games. And right off the top here, you see Luka Doncic. He has a bruised left quad. His status for tonight against Houston is yet to be determined, so that's a big one to look out for. Colin Sexton, a walking bucket. CJ McCollum had a great night last night. He continues to be hot this season. Enes Kanter, we're not worried about. Malik Beasley, he had a good night too. Wow, 10 of 16. Dame Lillard, pretty good night for him as well, 32 points. But it was no match for Steph Curry, set a career high, 62 points last night. If you took the under on Steph Curry like I did, you probably lost a few bucks. If you took the over, well, you might be sitting pretty. Otherwise, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of news, just a lot of game recaps from the night before, but that Luka news is going to be a big one, so keep an eye out on that. I ended up putting Tim Hardaway Jr. in last night, took the over on him, thinking that he would absorb a lot of the usage that Luka left behind. That play didn't end up working out for me. Tim Hardaway had a tough night. Didn't shoot the ball really well. He struggled finding his shot from three-point range. His field goal percentage was pretty low, so he didn't quite get there for us, but you know, that was last night. Today's a new day. We're going to make a few bucks on PrizePicks. I just know it. I got a feeling. So let's start off with the big man, Andre Drummond. What we do here is we take a look at what PrizePicks projections are for today. And again, this is around 1 p.m. These projections change all the time on PrizePicks. So just because it says 46.7 for Drummond, that doesn't mean it's going to stay 46.7 later on in the day. You got to keep an eye on these projections and keep that in mind. We're going to go across 3 different sites. First one being Roto Grinders. So we'll go over to Roto Grinders. We'll hit center. We'll filter by fantasy points. And we've got Andre Drummond at 48.6. That's an over. We'll take a look at Fantasy Pros, the second site we like to reference here. And his projection is 42.1. So that's a pretty big under versus what PrizePicks has him at. And finally, we'll go to center on RotoWire, and they were really under yesterday, and they appear to be really under today, underweight on their projections. So they think he's going for 37.07. So let's take a look at his recent game logs. Andre Drummond's been a guy that has been my Achilles heel. Can't seem to get him right. Every night that I go under on him, the guy just crushes. Every night that I go over on him, the guy just crushes. So, I mean, he's just hard to figure out. Tough nut to crack. 34, 66, 59, 64, 35, 21. So you can see there's kind of like this polarization. He's either really low or he's really high. So tonight, you know, going against the Orlando Magic, we don't have a game log for him against the Magic this season. This game is expected to be pretty competitive. Magic are 5-point home favorites. I don't expect a blowout here, but, you know, anything can happen in the early stages of the NBA. So he's projected for 31 minutes tonight. This is going to be one of the ones where, you know, the projections are all over the place on the guy. 48, 42, as low as 37. I'm going to take the under Probably again. I hope I'm right. I mean, his upside's tremendous, but I'm gonna go under on Drummond. Opposite side of that game, Orlando Magic, Nick Vucevic had a pretty good game the other night. He's projected for 41 tonight on PrizePicks. Let's take a look here. 42.25, 44.8, and 42.5. Quick peek at the game logs. 47, big game. 35, 49, 36, 49, 36. So we talked about this in one of my previous videos. This guy's got a pattern, right? You know, mid-30s, upper 40s, mid-30s, upper 40s, mid-30s, upper 40s. If you believe in that sort of thing, if you believe in patterns, then you would believe that tonight is going to be a down game for Nick Vucevic. But do you believe in that sort of thing? If you do, take the under. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one. Colin Sexton, Markelle Fultz. We'll skip over those guys. We'll head over to the next game. We got Charlotte against Philadelphia. We'll go with one of the more popular picks probably for tonight, Joel Embiid. Embiid projected for 48 tonight. Head on over to Roto Grinders. They like the over on Embiid's projection of 48. They have him at 49.76. Embiid's at 50 on Fantasy Pros, and finally RotoWire has him at 51. So that seems reasonable. RotoWire's been a little weird the last couple of slates for NBA. Kind of underweight on a lot of their projections versus some of the other sites. And, I've kind of tossed them out as far as being reliable, but this looks good on Embiid, 51. So all three sites seem to agree with the over on Embiid. Let's just take a quick look at the game logs. Let's see if we have any previous games against Charlotte. We do, actually. His last game, 42.8. Kind of a down game for Embiid. They expect a bounce back, and I kind of do too. I think when all three sites say over, I go over too, and we'll say Joel Embiid reaches 48.1 or more points tonight. So that's where we're going. Ben Simmons, his point guard, let's take a look. He's projected for 43. So we filter out all the positions. We just want to see point guards. Simmons, 46. And then over on Fantasy Pros, he's at 44.8. We can round that up to 45. And Ben Simmons here, 42.71. So 43. A couple of the sites are, they're torn on this guy and what he's going to do tonight. Let's see how he did the last time he faced Charlotte. 47.9. So that would be a good indicator of potentially taking the over on Ben Simmons tonight. The over's looking like the play that I would make. They are just over 9-point favorites at home. If you think this game blows out, maybe you take the under on Embiid. Maybe you take the under on Simmons, as they wouldn't get a full run of minutes tonight, full complement of minutes tonight. So keep that in mind. Not really going to go over anybody else from that game. Let's go to the next game. We got Julius Randle, 43 points. Randle's had a pretty good season so far. Let's see what the rest of the industry thinks about Randle's 43-point projection. Roto Grinders likes the under 43, 42.29. Take a look at Fantasy Pros. Fantasy Pros has him at 42.8. That's 2 votes for under on Randle. And finally, 43.84. So they're a slight over on the projection of 43. And let's take a look at how he's done recently. 52, 35, 39. So had a monster game back on December 29th. His last 2 games have been underwhelming. The minutes are there, so it's not a matter of him getting playing time. 37 minutes here, 37 minutes there. That's about as much as you can ask for from any player in the NBA. He's just not getting there. And a lot of it has to do with this poor field goal percentage. 5 for 16, 5 for 12, which is kind of unusual, right, for a big man. Somebody who plays close to the basket, you would expect that those field goal percentage numbers would be a bit higher, but he does take a lot of jump shots. As you can see, he's, averaging 2 to 5 3-point attempts per game. you'd like to see him move his game closer into the basket, like when he played at Kentucky. He was a dominant player under the rim. So maybe we can get him back under the basket playing where he is more effective. But as far as tonight, I'd probably take the under here. The under on Julius Randle. This game figures to stay relatively close. I don't see any reason why he doesn't get a full run of minutes. They've got him projected for 37 minutes. Hopefully he has a more efficient game. That's what you have to hope for with Randle, but I'm taking the under on him. Trae Young, he's been another guy who's been kind of hard to predict. Some nights he goes off. Sometimes he just is underwhelming and underperforms. But we know Trae Young's got incredible upside on any given night. He's a scorer. He can hit shots from anywhere on the court. Steph Curry Jr. basically. He's projected for 45.8 tonight. So let's take a look at Roto Grinders. Where do they line up on Trae? So they have the under. And I think for the season, if I were to go back and look, I've bet the under on Trae Young most nights. 45.5 on Fantasy Pros. And finally, 41.59. So they seem to be quite a bit under on the 45.8. Maybe we can look and see what his game logs are looking like here. He hasn't faced Atlanta at all this season. His last 3 games, 32. That's a big regression game from Trae Young. 40.5 here and then a 48. But you see, I mean, guys, he's got 50-point upside. 38, real low. 48, 40, 32. So, I mean, the numbers, the game log would indicate that maybe we take the under here on Trae Young and hope for the best. So not going to really touch on anybody else from this game. I'll leave that up to you guys rather. Next game is Oklahoma City versus Miami. SGA, as we talked about, that is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I'm going to keep working on it. I mean, I could say Giannis Antetokounmpo, if that counts for anything. SGA is projected for 39 points tonight on PrizePicks. So we go over and we look at his projection on Roto Grinders. He's at 38.2, 40 on Fantasy Pros. And we head over to Roto Wire, and he's projected for 44.15. So they're really over on SGA's projection tonight. 39. Let's take a look at the game logs. Is there anything that indicates that he could go over 39? Well, he's got one game and one other game where he barely broke the 39. But all you need is that 1 point, right? So if you think that he can make this his third game of the season with over 39 PrizePicks points, take the over on him. But I'm kind of not trusting based on his recent performance, I'm not trusting SGA to go over. So I'd probably lean more toward the under in this case. As far as this game goes, Miami's a huge favorite. Even more reason to take the under on a guy like SGA if you feel like this game gets out of hand and he doesn't get, 4 quarters of action tonight. So let's talk about Bam. No Jimmy Butler in the lineup. I'm not seeing him on the board, so I'm assuming he's still out. Bam, however, when Jimmy is out, tends to do really well, both him and Tyler Herro. But we're gonna focus on Bam. Let's go over here to Roto Grinders. Filter out by power forward. Well, maybe he's listed under center then. He is. He's listed under center. He's projected for 41.73 points. That would put him under. And 39.7 points, also putting him under, according to Fantasy Pros. And last but not least, 43.92. So that 42.5, the industry kind of seems torn on him, usually in those kind of situations where it's like a coin flip. You're not real sure, not getting a clear read on a guy. I just fade him. I skip over him. I don't try to figure it out. I don't claim to be smarter than, the projections, the numbers. I'm a numbers guy. I usually lean on those. So looking at his game logs, we have a 40, a 30, a 26, a 53, and a 44. So he's broken tonight's projection twice, and it's happened over both of his last games. So perhaps he goes over tonight. They are projected as big favorites at home. You would like to think that if they are going to run away with this game, it's going to be on the shoulders of a guy like Bam to have a great game, right? So, I think I'm going to kind of go, since this is a split, I think he goes over 42.5. I like the over on Bam tonight. Jason Tatum will jump over to this next game, the Boston Celtics and Toronto Raptors. Projected for 46. He had a pretty good game the other day. He was on the earlier game on that slate. I believe that was yesterday. Let's take a look at the rest of the industry. Roto Grinders has him at 46.74. Fantasy Pros, 41.5. So big difference there between Roto Grinders and Fantasy Pros. Let's see if we can get a tiebreaker with RotoWire. And they believe that Tatum's going to be at 45.43, which puts him just slightly under his projection of 46. Quick peek into the game logs. Facing the Raptors tonight, we don't have a game log from his matchup against the Raptors this season. So we don't really know, how he does against the Raptors. But his last game, I told you he went off 57.6 points. That's the kind of upside somebody like Tatum has. He's the number one option for the Celtics. Most nights, this guy is going to perform pretty well for you. We got a 41. We got a 28. That was a big stinker. Another 50 burger, 43, 35, and 48. Another thing to be mindful of is that Jaylen Brown gets a lot of usage on this team. So tonight, I think for Jason Tatum, I'm going to probably lean toward the under if I have to go one way or the other. I go under on Jason Tatum. On the Toronto side of the ball, Fred VanVleet's been really, really playing well. Let's take a look at him. He's projected for 38. 38 has been a number that he's just been crushing lately. VanVleet, looks like they'll probably have him listed under shooting guard. There he is, 36.56. So they're a little under on VanVleet. Over on Fantasy Pros, they're also under on VanVleet. And finally, RotoWire is under on VanVleet. So again, I trust the numbers in situations like this. With a projection of 38 and 3 sites having him well under 38, you should probably trust the numbers too. I like going under on Fred VanVleet tonight. Next game we have is Dallas and Houston. As we talked about at the top of the show, Luka is considered questionable, I would say, at the moment. We're not sure if he's going to play or not. If he doesn't, guys like Josh Richardson, guys like Tim Hardaway Jr., last night it was Jalen Brunson. They absorb a lot of that usage. Obviously, when Luka's healthy and he's in the lineup, the guy's going to get a ton of usage, ton of shots. He handles the ball a majority of the time. He facilitates the offense. He does it all. He's a do-it-all guy. Well, somebody's got to pick up the slack, right? So look to Richardson, look to Hardaway Jr. Those are the type of guys that, in a situation like this, you'd probably want to try and get in early and go over on both of those guys with Luka being out. At least before they rule Luka out officially. That might be an edge. That might be an advantage where you can, snatch up 2 of these guys while they're at 26 and 27, click the over, and hope for the best. Hope Luka sits out. We'll take a look at John Wall. He's at 40 points. As you know, Wall, he missed the first couple of games due to COVID, I believe it was. His projections, 43 and 51 over his last couple of games. They've got him at 40. This is a number that, especially without Luka, he could crush this number. He could definitely go over. Let's take a look at the other sites, see where they land on Wall. 39, so they put him slightly under his projection of 40. And finally, 38, so they like the under on Wall as well. Based on his last 2 game logs, the over on 40 would be the way to go. The projections, they say otherwise. So I'll leave that one up to you guys. What are you feeling on John Wall tonight? Leave a comment below. Let me know. You taking the over? You taking the under? Do you believe that he goes over 40 for the 3rd game in a row? He's shown he can. Anybody else we want to touch on from this game? We'll skip ahead. We're almost done with the board here. This video is going to run a bit shorter than our others, which is, hopefully a good thing if you like short videos. If it's too short for you, let me know in the comments. Chris Middleton. No Giannis Antetokounmpo on the board. Told you I could say his name. Chris Middleton, 35 points tonight. They have him listed at shooting guard, I believe, on FanDuel. Yes, they do. 38.17. Middleton, oh, there we go. 37 on Fantasy Pros. And finally, 36. So, little up, little down. The 35, I would probably say is a little bit too low. I think that based on what I'm seeing here, going over on Middleton could be profitable tonight. He's went over 35, 1, 2, 3, 4 out of his first 6 games to start the season. I like that. I like seeing that. So let's go over on Middleton tonight. Final answer. Next guy up, big man. Domantas Sabonis, Indiana Pacers versus the New Orleans Pelicans. He'll have a tough matchup tonight. I'm sure he'll be clashing head-to-head with Big Z, Zion Williamson. But for Sabonis, projected at 44.5 on Roto Grinders. Flipping it on over here to Fantasy Pros, he's at 45.3. And finally, RotoWire has him at 49.43. So they like the over on Sabonis. I believe this is his first matchup against New Orleans. Let's take a look at the game logs. Yes, he has not faced New Orleans up to this point, but look at what this guy can do. 54, 48, there's a down game, 37, 46, 47, and 36. So he's been right up there on his good nights, 46, 47 points, even giving you 48 and 54 point upside. In this matchup, if we look at the spread here, it's pretty close. You got New Orleans is a 2 point, less than 2 point favorite to win this game. I think it stays close throughout. I think it stays competitive. I think Sabonis, his projection of 37 minutes tonight, I like that. I think this guy can go over. I think he can go over his projection of 46 points. So let's do that. Let's go over on Sabonis. Next guy up, Zion Williamson. I think I mentioned this before in one of my previous videos. Zion's been a guy who's been projected at like 45, 44, and I've just been hitting under. Every night, hitting under, and it's paid off for the most part. 40 tonight seems pretty good, and what I mean is pretty accurate on PrizePicks behalf. I think 40 is, more realistic. So let's see if we have any kind of edge on Zion tonight. They got him going under again on Roto Grinders, 38.6. Over on Fantasy Pros, they've got him just a slight over at 40.3. And finally, 36.95. So they like the under on RotoWire tonight as well. We're going to look at his game logs real quick. And I think we should because, he's got a lot of duds. His last 3 games have been duds. 4 out of his first 6 games have been duds. So if you're the betting type, I think the odds are in your favor to take the under on his 40 points. He's broken 40 twice, right? 48 and 50 points. For some reason, he's not involved in the offense. And the same goes for J.J. Redick. Stan Van Gundy, as we mentioned on yesterday's video, taking full accountability for the lack of production for J.J. Redick. Is that also applicable to Zion? Is that Stan's fault as well? Maybe they look at the offense and try to get him some more shots. He had 20 and 22 attempts here. So when he's getting 20 or more field goal attempts, look what the guy can do, 50 and 48, right? So maybe they need to get him the ball more. Maybe they need to let him shoot more. And maybe it happens tonight. Until I see some positive numbers for Zion, I'm going to keep clicking the under. I think he goes under again tonight. Tough matchup against Sabonis, as we mentioned earlier. We'll make Brandon Ingram the last guy we talk about. Zion's running mate, his wingman, Brandon Ingram, projected for 39 points tonight over on PrizePicks. Let's take a look. 39.4 on Roto Grinders. We go to small forward. Oh, he's at the top of the list. 37.7. And finally, 32, 32, 32, 32, 37, 39, and then we have a 32. How does that make sense? Well, let's look at his game logs. 44, 34, 28, 50, 30.9, and 60.3. All right. I have an itch. I'm not scratching my head because I'm so perplexed by how RotoWire has this guy so low. Although I should be. But, yeah, I just think that's way too low on RotoWire. I don't really trust that one. So I'm throwing that one out the window. I'm thinking Brandon Ingram has a real shot at 39 or more tonight. Yeah, over. Slight under. Yeah, I don't know. I don't trust that. This might be one to avoid, guys. I'm not getting a good read on it either way, over or under. So that'll do it for today's video, though. If you guys have any questions, comments, or anything, leave them down in the comments section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope they're getting better. I hope they're getting more informative. I'm hoping you're finding value. If you are, definitely join us again on the next one. I do one of these every single day. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so that you don't miss any of the new content from me and from Out of Bounds. Until next time, guys, good luck tonight. Let's make some money. We'll see you next time. Peace.